I thank the representative of the United States. I now give the floor to Maulana Fazal-ur-Rehman, Chairman, Foreign Relations Committee of the National Assembly of Pakistan.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim.
In the name of God, the Merciful, the Compassionate, our thanks be to Allah for His mercy and blessings upon the Prophet and his kin. Mr. President, allow me, first of all, to thank His Excellency the Secretary General for his comprehensive report entitled Assistance in Mine Clearance. The report indeed provides us with the main elements which will help our efforts aimed at dealing with all the aspects related to mine clearance. Mr. President, it is indeed gratifying to know that there is an increasing awareness within the international community as to the acuteness and the scope of the danger caused by landmines which have been planted irresponsibly and indiscriminately. The Secretary General has explained in his report that landmines do not kill human beings only, but destroy whole countries because they hamper the reconstruction of a normal economic and social life. It is indeed horrifying to read facts connected to the arbitrary and indiscriminate use of landmines. More than 110 million landmines have been scattered throughout the world. Every month, more than 800 people fall victim to those mines, most of them civilians and innocent bystanders. The number of people maimed or handicapped is even greater. Those figures are not simply or mere figures for Pakistan. We have ourselves experienced the destruction caused by arbitrary landmines. More than 10 million mines are scattered throughout Afghanistan. In our own medical facilities, thousands of Afghan refugees have been treated. Pakistan, in fact, has undertaken the treatment of those victims and their rehabilitation, and moreover, we continue to host a very large number of refugees, for landmines are an obstacle to the safe return of those refugees to their homeland. Mine clearance is indeed a precondition for reconstruction in any country. It is necessary to re-establish an environment which will enable society to resume its ordinary daily life. Mr. President, it is indeed comforting to note that steps have been taken throughout the past few years to alleviate the problem of landmines, and particularly the humanitarian aspect of such mines. The United Nations have established a strategy to deal with the problem of landmines, has even established a voluntary trust fund for assistance in emergency situations, And in order to complement the contributions of member states, an international conference dealing with mine clearance was held last July. This was the first time such a large number of politicians and experts from different parts of the world came together to discuss all the dimensions of the problem of landmines. In fact, the conference, which brought together approximately 100 government representatives and 60 organizations, is proof of the increasing awareness of the problem of landmines. Contributions were pledged to the tune of approximately $20 million American at the conference, which would allow the fund to become fully operational. Efforts are still being undertaken to alleviate the sufferings of the victims from landmines. However, mine clearance is very slow and lags behind. Last year, only 100,000 mines were cleared, and if at this rate, we would need approximately 1,000 years to put an end to the 110 million mines scattered throughout the world. Two questions arise. Why the slow pace? And can we speed it up? The reason for the slow pace is the lack of resources and the limited capacity of the affected countries. The primitive technology for the detection and clearance of mines is also a reason. And above all that, a lack of technical international cooperation. Yet the problems are not insuperable, and we can overcome them by objective planning. Mr. President, the Secretary General recognized in his report that the cost to initiate mine clearance operation is usually very high, because mine clearing programs also necessitate their own infrastructure. Unfortunately, most of the affected countries do not have the necessary resources to initiate the operations, and the presence of the mines transforms arable land into areas that are shunned and cannot be cultivated. The setting up of the trust fund is a step in the right direction. The supplementary financing was indeed necessary when resources are not available for the UN to respond rapidly. Contributions and grants should be given outside the scope of the trust itself. The proposal for setting up a demining standby capacity is indeed a very good proposal, for it will increase the available resources in the form of contributions in kind for mine clearance. We hope that many such contributions will be forthcoming in the form of trained experts and equipment to be put under the disposal of the UN. Financing is necessary not only for field operations but also for research in order to improve the technology and the techniques of mine clearance. The international community should indeed exert doubled efforts in order to develop such techniques and set up a mechanism encouraging international cooperation in this particular field. The necessary technology and the steady and increasing financing are all essential in order to reinforce the national capacity of the affected countries. Mr. President, We believe that those who scatter and plant landmines should assume the main responsibility for clearing those mines. Those who have caused chaos by scattering such mines in an arbitrary fashion should not leave the scene of the massacre. They should pay the price of the chaos and the havoc they have caused. International operations of mine clearance should be based on that particular principle rather than entrusting the affected countries alone with the responsibility of clearing the mines. Mr. President, mines are still being scattered without the provision of the maps of such mines. This is indeed a challenge to international law. The problem is not static, and in this respect, the relevant agencies of the United Nations are considering the measures to control armament and disarmament. We do not need to dwell at length, for Pakistan has been part of all the efforts to solve the problem and will continue to do so. Thank you very much, Mr. President.
I thank Maulana Fazl-ur-Rehman, Chairman, Foreign Relations Committee of the National Assembly of Pakistan. I now give the floor to the representative of Lao People's Democratic Republic.
Mr. President,